Welcome to the show, guys. Fantasy Football 2023 in full force. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe. Today we are talking about who is going to be the first overall pick for Fantasy Football 2023. Big episode here as we start rolling out the content. Now, I'm already starting to see some lists here on who the Conchiefs are putting in as the first overall pick for 2023. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of copy and paste going on. Now, if last year didn't teach you anything, or the year before that, it's unbelievable that this continues to move on. You know, with this BS cookie cutter stuff, right? Last year, give you a quick example. Everybody told you Jonathan Taylor as the first overall pick. Why? Because he had a pinnacle season. He was the number one running back. What did I say? I said, listen, Jonathan Taylor will decline. The last time a running back finished 2 years in a row on top in fantasy points was Priest Holmes in 2002, 2003. You can go back and check this out, guys, on all my rankings videos. I kept talking about this, and sure enough, what happened, guys? There was a decline, a significant decline, that is, and we had like 4 touchdowns on the season. So another one example is Derrick Henry, right? Derrick Henry had an injury last year. This year had a bounce back year. And I said, Derrick Henry's due for a nice, strong bounce back. The volume will be there. And sure enough, Derrick Henry finishes as a top 4 running back. Or even Saquon Barkley, who finished top 5, right? It's about seeing things before they happen. Now, one thing I did not see is Austin Eckler performing as well as he did. A big part of that were the injuries to the Chargers wide receivers and a lot of rapport and checkdowns from Justin Herbert, which equaled 107 receptions for Eckler. And sure enough, he is on top yet again. So in this video, I want to talk about the potential top first overall picks. Who is that first overall pick for Fantasy Football 2023. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys do subscribe. And in the comments below, I want to make this super interactive. Drop a name. Who should be the first overall pick for 2023? And it is very early. We're going to have to see. And a lot of this is predicated on the NFL draft because I get to see if there's other running backs or other wide receivers coming into the mix that may be, a bit of a factor that may take away some of the volume from the people that you may think should be, on top. So I'm going to dive into it here and give you guys some names. Now, again, I'm seeing some Conchiefs lists. I'm obviously not very happy with these lists, and Austin Eckler is on top of all of them, okay? Now, one thing about Austin Eckler is I projected a decline this year because he came off this pinnacle 12-touchdown season. I'm actually, he's run out of luck, guys, and we see with every running back. Dalvin Cook got hurt the last game. He couldn't finish a season. He's yet to finish a season. Dalvin Cook was a top 3 to 5 pick. Finished 11th. Dalvin Cook, guys. This is a guy that everybody told you draft on top because, again, he had his pinnacle year 2 or 3 years ago. And everybody's still riding that. But I think, in all honesty, this is the year that Eckler will actually decline. Why? Well, we're going to have to see what happens with the NFL draft. But I still do not believe, and I speak with certainty, that Eckler is a true full workhorse running back. I just still think, he had a couple scares there with some injuries, came back, played through them. So I give him props. Listen. Eckler did amazing. Prove me wrong, right? So I remember 3 years ago, Eckler and I, it's going back 3 years. This is when he was just after he came out of being a backup for Melvin Gordon, and Melvin Gordon sucks, right? I said Eckler sucked. And in that year, he actually ended up sucking. The second year, he did well, and then last year did well, right? So we're basically, he's 2 for 3. I'm 1 for 3, right? I've been right 1 out of 3 years. Eckler's been right 2 out of 3. So I think, again, he'll decline. Again, I don't want to focus too much on Eckler on this show, but the thing is, everyone's got him on top again this year because he was on top this past year. So I've already seen some rankings. It's pretty much Eckler on top. They got Christian McCaffrey. Jacobs is a consideration as a top 3 to 5 pick. Jacobs was in a contract year. Okay, this is what you got to understand, guys. Jacobs was in a contract year. If you look at the years prior to this, he's had mediocre fantasy seasons. There's been nothing outstanding here in regards to rankings. I'm just going to pull up his PPR numbers here. Now, he had 328 this year, 226, 231, and 191 the years before, right? He's been mediocre. I mean, he's always had a couple 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Waller was hurt. Renfro was hurt. There's going to be a quarterback change. Things are going to change on the Raiders offense. So everybody now riding the Jacobs train. So this is why you got to subscribe to the podcast and get the 60-round draft social when it comes out, is because I look for the value. Example, Jonathan Taylor. he's still going to be expensive because the Sheeps's, that's one of their guys, right? They had him on top last year, so they're going to want to save some face. But Taylor is a guy that is going to be better value this year, and he's going into a contract year, and we're going to have to see what improvements the Colts make. So I think Taylor is actually a better first overall pick than Austin Eckler going into the year. But again, we're talking very early here, okay? A lot of people are going to be asking about Derrick Henry. Is he going to be, a first overall pick again this year? He very well could be, but for me, I wrote him this year, right? I wrote him this year. I'm good, right? Like am I saying he's going to decline? Possibly. Could he have a better year? Possibly. But again, having an outstanding year, what do you have? 302 fantasy points here, 349 attempts. And that's what I like to look at is the volume. He was number one in volume, followed by Jacobs and Barkley, then Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook. Now, Dalvin Cook's definitely going to fall off. Again, finished the season barely, but week 18 got hurt with a knee injury. And then there's other guys like Jamal Williams coming off this pinnacle year, very touchdown heavy. Miles Sanders, Najee Harris, top 8 here in fantasy points, had a very crappy season. Christian McCaffrey, again, didn't really get going till a little bit later. Again, we're talking attempts here. Najee was number 8 in attempts. Christian McCaffrey, number 9, and Zeke, number 10. Again, Zeke's going to fall off as well. But again, that is attempts. We're looking at volume guys, okay? Are things going to change next year? Again, this is what I'm going to be laying out. But in regards to this episode, Derrick Henry is a possible consideration for first overall. Am I going to personally draft him first overall this year? No. You got Austin Eckler, definitely a decline coming. Very unlikely he's going to finish on top again. Christian McCaffrey with the 49ers offense. That's going to be interesting. I think the volume's going to be there. Again, 244 attempts, second in fantasy points, okay? You got Saquon Barkley. Is he going to be paid? Is he going to be incentivized? If he's not paid, I don't know. Are they going to pay him? When's that payment coming through, right? He finished top 5. That's going to really, really predicate how he's going to perform, right? I don't know how that contract's going to be structured or when it's going to be paid out. Still got more coming on that. Rondamore Stevenson, is he a first overall pick? No. But there's a lot of guys, there's a lot of young guys that could be considered. And again, I'm talking running back because I go robust RB. There's some wide receivers we're going to go over as well. But we're talking, Travis Etienne. Years to wow us were not wowed. Was injured his first rookie year, had a mediocre year last year, finished 17th amongst running backs, 220 attempts, 5.1 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. He probably is going to get integrated a lot more, but is he first overall? Absolutely not. Kenneth Walker, young, dynamic workhorse. Could he be a first overall? I'd say, yeah, why not? There's a ton of upside there, right? So there's some running backs from Eckler, which again, decline coming. Christian McCaffrey, possibly. Josh Jacobs, again, contract year this past year, decline coming. Henry, I'm still torn. I mean, when is he's getting older? I think he's like 29 years old, right? A friend of mine just sent me an email list of all these running backs that are aging from Kamara to Henry, right, to Dalvin Cook. These guys aren't going to be young anymore. Joe Mixon has been unimpressive the past year, right? So we got to take a look and spot out those fresh young guys like a Kenneth Walker is kind of that perfect prototype of what I'm looking for. Young, dynamic, hungry, looked good when he played. So again, a lot of this is going to be kind of based on how the depth charts fall into place. Youth, hunger, and volume all play into a factor, okay? So in the comments, let me know at running back, who do you think is first overall? And then I would never draft a quarterback or a tight end first. Now in a 2-quarterback league, you can make an argument and say, hey, I'm going to go for a quarterback early. If that's the case and you want to go first overall, obviously you've got your usual suspects, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts. And it's not because I'm copying and pasting. With quarterback, what you see is pretty much what you get, right? You anchor your team with an ace quarterback. These guys are your solid producers. Now, you're going to get better value with Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Herbert, guys like that later on in the draft. There's going to be a ton of depth at the quarterback position. I still like to go robust RB, but again, Hurts, Allen, and Mahomes, first round, first overall, maybe in a 2-quarterback league if you want to go that route. Now, wide receiver, okay? This is going to be a tricky one. Obviously, everybody seems to want to gravitate towards Justin Jefferson. I understand that. But first overall, again, no matter how good he did, 368 fantasy points, 8 touchdowns, 1,809 yards, right, for Justin Jefferson. Now, here's what's going to gets me, right? Why is Cooper Kupp not first overall? And you're going to see Jefferson ahead of Cooper Kupp on all rankings. Why? Because he finished on top last year, but why not Cooper Kupp? When Cooper Kupp got hurt and I called that there would be a decline, everybody said injuries don't matter. That's what they told me, Joe. Injuries do not matter. If injuries don't matter, why isn't Cooper Kupp first overall wide receiver on all the Concheapsis rankings? I'm already seeing lists come out where Jefferson is ahead of Cooper Kupp. Why? Because Jefferson finished on top. And again, it sounds like a broken record, but we're going to go through this again. Jefferson had a pinnacle year. There's a chance that, I don't even know if Cooper Kupp's the guy, right? Again, it's very early, right? We're talking January here, okay? 2023. We're not even done with the full regular season here. Well, we're done with the regular season, but we're moving into playoffs here for NFL. But I look at it, I'm just like, Jefferson coming off this pinnacle year, is that going to be sustainable, right? Again, 184 targets, which is phenomenal. And it's all about volume in fantasy, okay? If he stays healthy, right? Is health going to be a concern? I mean, what goes up must come down. I'm not predicting injury, but is he going to stay healthy for another year? You know, you got Adams and Tyreek in here. You got CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra. All options. But again, I'm not going first overall pick with a wide receiver. I know a lot of people may consider it with Justin Jefferson. I see that that's a tempting option. But understand, guys, historically, he's coming off a pinnacle year. Is that going to continue? And again, with Jefferson, it can. I actually think because Jefferson's young, right? He's dynamic. He's hungry. He gets the volume. I still think it continues, but again, 1,809 yards, 8 touchdowns. Let's go back to Michael Thomas in 2018, or was it 2019? Everybody wanted him in 2020, and sure enough, Michael Thomas fell off with injury and has not come back since. But again, anything can happen. It's fantasy football, right? So would you consider Jefferson as a first overall pick? Would you consider Devontae Adams? Would you consider Tyreek Hill as a first overall pick? Interesting. Again, we're going to have to see what happens with Tua, how healthy he is. You know, is that going to be a connection that's going to continue? We don't know, right? Very uncertain. So, again, when I look at first overall pick and I had to make a decision right now, I like Kenneth Walker, man. I like the youth. I like the upside. I like the volume. I like the talent. Yes, he didn't finish on top. He was 18th amongst running backs in fantasy points, 4.5 yards per carry, over 1,000 yards in 228 attempts, but he did not get going till, what week did he get going? I think it was like week 4 or 5, something like that. Yeah, like his volume didn't go till week 6. He got 21 attempts. Prior to that, he was getting 4 or 5, 6 attempts. Rashad Penny was in. I was telling you that Walker's the guy who was drafted in the second round. I think Kenneth Walker, man, as a first overall pick, you're getting yourself a young, hungry, dynamic running back with upside. You can make an argument for Christian McCaffrey, but this is a guy that was hurt 2 years prior to this season. Finally finished the season, but 2 years prior was banged up. Could the injury come back lingering, right? We don't know, right? Josh Jacobs, right, had a pinnacle year. He was never like that before. Are we sold that Josh Jacobs is an ultra-elite running back moving forward? Yeah, are we sold? Because he never was. He was a 3rd, 4th round pick at best, right? Is 1 year, particularly being a contract year, going to convince me that he's the guy? I don't believe it yet, right? Saquon Barkley, again, contract year, did well, top 5. This is the guy who's telling draft everybody, for everyone to draft in the second round. People were sleeping. He's a consideration for a first overall pick. One thing's for sure is I'm not going Eckler, and I'm most likely not going Henry because I rode Henry last year, and I'm good with that. What goes up must come down. What goes down must come up. And I'm trying to anticipate, you know, who is going to be the number 1 running back. Again, Jonathan Taylor's a consideration going into a contract year, coming back at a bounce back, but I'm going to have to see what the Colts do with that offense. For me, Walker, Taylor, you know, I'd say Saquon even. I don't even know. I rode him last year. I got him for value. He's going to be more expensive this year now that everyone's riding him. So these are just a couple options here, but I'm definitely going running back, and I'm going for somebody who is, you know, going to get the volume. So it's not just like, hey, I'm pulling numbers out of a hat here. It's an educated guess, right? I got to take a look at this, you know, the running back schemes. Got to take a look at the offense. Got to look at the depth chart. There's a lot that goes into this. Not like, hey, man, I'm just going to tell you Jonathan Taylor because you had a down year last year. No, I got to see. Got to see what the Colts do before I make these decisions, right? So in the comments below, let me know, are you going running back? Even in a 2-quarterback league, what are you doing? Are you going to still go running back first overall? That's what I'm doing. I go robust RB or bust. You get a lot of depth at wide receiver. You definitely do. And I explained this in the 16-round draft solution. Again, that comes out in May, right? I take a look at this, right? You look at CeeDee Lamb was decent value. A.J. Brown, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Christian Kirk, and Amari Cooper all finishing in the top 12. Amari Cooper was a steal. Christian McCaffrey was a sleeper. Amon-Ra St. Brown was great value round 5 last year, right? So you're getting a lot of value at the wide receiver position without paying the first round pick. And even if you pay a first round pick, you're getting a lot of volatility. And we had that happen with Devontae Adams. We had that happen with Tyreek Hill. Not so much Tyreek Hill is bad this year, but Devontae Adams, and even Jefferson scoring 2.5 fantasy points in your fantasy football championships. That's a little risky for me. And you can make an argument that Henry missed the fantasy football championship because his team wanted to preserve him, and that's fine as well. But I like to go robust RB because that position gets hurt, that position is scarce, and there's only a handful that get the volume. So again, with that sacred first overall pick, even in a 2-quarterback league, I'm going with a young, dynamic running back. Still to be determined. I gave you the guys that I like, all right? In the comments below, let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to this channel, guys. We're going hard year long. Want to get the dialogue going? Join the Discord group below and join the Fantasy Frontlines. I'm going to be going hard in that group at Patreon. I'm going to be going hard in that room, in that group. Patreon.com/FFCounselor, guys. Go join the community and the front lines right now. And we're starting to roll out 2023 content hard. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Listen, I appreciate you guys being here. Again, it's never too early to talk fantasy football. And I'm going to be running through the playoffs here. We're going to be providing content on the playoffs, and we're going to be diving in on that as well. All right, guys? We'll talk soon. I appreciate you. Comment below. Let me know. First overall. We'll talk soon. I'm out.